focus over the course of the past week has been on problem solving. Let's apply the hexagon to a specific problem that I know a number of organizations are struggling with today. Let's talk about how do we grow pipeline, right? So what's the problem? We need to grow or create new pipeline. It's a key metric for me. It demonstrates health and future health of the business. Let's grow, create pipeline. So the problem we want to solve for is growing, creating pipeline. How do we go about doing it? Well, first, let's understand who has the problem. Well, the people who have the problem are the sales reps, the sales professionals. They could be in customer success. They could be in new customer acquisition. They could be in renewals or retention and expansion. We have people who have a role inside the organization who are struggling with this. So the people who have the problem are the reps, the individual contributors. The people who are impacted by the problem are the leadership in the revenue roles. The people who are in production, operations, fulfillment. So ops, fulfillment, they're impacted by it. And ultimately, if we're not growing pipeline in the right place, our customers, the customers who have problems that we can solve for, are ultimately impacted by our inability to build pipeline. So customers, these are all folks that are impacted by this pipeline challenge. So we have the individual contributors, we have people on the leadership team who are running the group, who are leading those groups, and we have the folks inside other functional areas inside the business. Now, who are the people who actually care about those folks? Who cares about those folks? Meaning we care about the people who have or the people that are impacted by the problem. This could be people on the board. This could be investors. This could be the family and friends of the people who are in those roles. Okay, so now we've got three different groups of people who have some kind of relation to this grow, create pipeline perspective. How do you use this? Well, what you do is you get a meeting together, you get people in the room who represent each of these groups and say, let's work through this and see what we can do to help solve the problem. Identify new ways to go about doing things, because the way that we're doing it today may or may not be working. If you've got a pipeline challenge, then that indicates to me that the way you're doing it today might not be working. All right, so we bring those people in the room. Now, I've been in each of those roles. I've been on the investor side, I've been on the leadership side, I've been in the individual contributor side, I've been a customer, and I've got family members who do different things in revenue roles. So I'm going to try to play each of those roles on this side, the why. Why does the pipeline problem persist? Well, there could be a couple of different reasons why creating pipeline persists. Number one, we're not able to get in front of customers. So customer engagement. And this could be customers or prospects. Remember, we can grow pipeline in a couple of different ways. You can grow pipeline from a new customer acquisition perspective. You can also grow pipeline from a growth within the existing base perspective. So customer engagement, current and future. All right, so that's one reason we're not able to get engaged. Another reason that might be getting in the way of the pipeline created perspective is we are engaging with people, but timing is not right because of everything else that's going on right now. Now, that could be tariff related, it could be all kinds of stuff related, but maybe for the type of product that we're delivering to the market, people just don't care. It's not a priority. So it could be customer engagement, it could be prioritization on the customer side, prioritize on the customer side. And here's the cool thing about the priority thing. Maybe we're asking our team to just do too much. Maybe we've got our team doing so many different things. Like they're so focused on how can I develop existing pipeline that there's not an opportunity to go create new pipeline. Or they could be so focused on going through and running 800,000 reports because everybody's worried about what's happening inside the business that they're not actually able to allocate the time to go out and grow the business. So prioritization could be on the customer side, and it could be internal. So we've got customer engagement, we've got prioritization. It could be that we lack certain skills. So maybe the skill development from a pipeline creation perspective is not there because something's changed inside the market. Something's changed inside the operating environment that you're working on. So skill. Okay. There's a couple of different pieces in here relative to the behavior associated with creating pipeline. It's capability and skill. You've heard this before, COM-B, right? Opportunity relative to how we're prioritizing and how things are going inside the business. And then the third one is motivation. Maybe the people that are in those roles just don't care. Maybe they're not motivated to go out there and generate pipeline because for whatever reason, they feel comfortable doing whatever the thing is. So skills, engagement, prioritization, motivation. Right. So those are different reasons why the problem is so thorny and challenging. When we have the conversation inside with multiple people on the who side of things, they will help us with questions and start to gain additional perspective on why the challenge continues to persist. This gets into 5 why, root cause, that kind of work. Once we understand why it persists, and you see pretty quickly, we've got a couple of different things on here. Now, the next piece I want to understand is why is it important to solve? Well, if we can't solve the pipeline created problem, we certainly will not see more pipeline developed, and we will not lead to bringing money into the business. And we'll have to make some decisions to remove people inside the business. We'll have to make some cuts. We'll have to figure out how do we reduce cost. So it's important for us to solve, because if we don't, we're going to have to make some reduction, and we don't want to see that happen. So now we've got people on the leadership and the investor side of things who are looking at this and saying, hey, functionally, we need to figure out a way to solve this. We've got to figure out what we can do different to help solve the challenge. Because if you're continuing to do the same things over and over again and expecting different results, there's someone who once said that's the definition of insanity. It's insane to think that things are going to change. It's not just go do more. Let's go do the right things in the right order at the right time. We've got some perspective. We know what the problem is. We know the people that are involved. We've got some perspective on why it persists and what we might need to overcome. And we know why it's important for us to solve. So we've covered that Mary Poppins side of things, right? That now we're earned the right to move into how. Okay, so let's go ahead and start working through the how piece. Today, how are we doing it? How are we doing outreach? How are we building pipeline today? Let's understand that inside our organization. The way we might be doing it is there might be direct emails, there might be some direct messages, there might be some marketing, there might be some content creation. There's a couple of different things that we might be doing today. Of those things that we're doing today, are any of them working? Meaning, are they performing any better than some of the things that we might have done in the past? This is where you want to use your data, leverage your data, your information that's available to you to start to figure out, okay, what are we doing now to solve for it? And ultimately, of those things that we've been doing, what's changed? Are there specific markets or specific verticals or specific types of customers based on size, based on location, based on something else, where we didn't see a negative change in the way that we're creating pipeline? When you use your data, your how today, you can start to gain perspective and reveal some blind spots for you. After we understand the how today, now let's move into how tomorrow. How might we do it differently in the future? Because the things that we're doing today aren't necessarily working. They might be working in some other area. How do we create clarity and focus so that we can have our team focusing on the right things in the right order? Well, one of the things that's going to come up when you have a group of people together in this kind of conversation is some people are going to have some different ideas around testing things that we haven't done before. What happens if we take a friends and family approach? So we have a list of target accounts that we want to get into. And this is what we do inside Catalyst. We've got a list of a couple of companies that we'd love to work with. Jeep is one of those customers. Ping is one of those customers. Garmin is one of those customers. Yeti is one of those customers. We've got a couple. Mountain Capital is one of those customers. We've got Burton Snowboards. We've got a couple of different targets that we have out there that we'd like to work with. Do we know anybody inside our organization who also knows people at those organizations? Do we have anybody in our network who knows some of those people? So future, we might have a target account list, and we start to look both inside our network. Is anybody that we know inside that organization, or do they know anybody that we need to know? When you bring a group of people together, what will end up happening, and I've seen this happen over and over again, someone will know somebody, or someone will know somebody who knows somebody. The key piece is making sure that everybody has visibility into those accounts that you want to be a part of, that you want to be working with, the markets that you want to test. Now, the other thing that we can do to help get more reps and communication is we can lean on our existing network and start doing feasibility. There are a number of folks that have gotten emails or direct messages from me in the last 24 hours where I've made requests to do some market feasibility testing on some of the whiteboarding stuff that I'm doing. And of the 10 requests that I've sent out there, I've got 5 meetings scheduled over the course of the next week. So we start to lean on, actually a week and a half, we start to lean on our network and do some market feasibility testing assessment type stuff to see if we can figure out a way where there might be somebody in the network or the extended network that we should be talking to who we might be able to help. There are a number of ways to go about doing this. And this is why problem solving, from my perspective, is a team sport. Collaborating in an environment where we get to work together on a specific challenge to see what we can do next to help overcome those challenges. So we want to understand current state. We want to understand tomorrow, future state. We want to look at future state, and then we go ahead and we build out our plan. Now, from a when perspective, this is immediate, because if we're not growing from a pipeline standpoint, then we're not going to get to a point where we're going to be able to develop that pipeline, and we won't be able to get ourselves into a situation where we'll be able to continue to fund the business. So from a 30, 60, 90 perspective, so we want to do this immediately. Let's figure out what our next steps are in the short term. It's outreach within the individual, within the network. Connections and things that we can do with people that we already know, people who know, like, and trust us, so that we can gain some access to information and identify if there's an opportunity to start looking at things differently or make other connections. So lean on the network, lean on the people that you know. That's a faster way to get things moving forward. The second next step might be looking at partnerships. Are there partners out there who know the customers you want to know and already have a relationship with those customers that are in a way that doesn't compete with what you're doing? Are there ways that you can get direct access to people faster through partners that exist out there? So one-to-one in the network, one-to-one / many from a partnership perspective. And then the third area that we're focusing attention on, just from a pipeline creation perspective, is what else can we be doing from a marketing and promotion perspective? What kind of air cover can I create inside the business, both in the videos like this or in some of the things that Jen writes up for the Catalyst LinkedIn page? So there's a couple of different ways that we can look at this. And so we've got our one-to-one direct outreach in the network, one-to-one, one-to-many from a partnership perspective. And then there's a broad like marketing / social promotion. All right. There are no shortage of ideas of what you can put together in that 30, 60, 90, or 3 week, 6 week, 9 week, or even 3 day, 6 day, 9 day, if you want to think about it in the context of sprints, like a 2-week sprint. There's no shortage of things that you can put in these sprints. The key piece is being really careful about not trying to do too much. Do 1, maybe 2 or 3 things really, really well. Don't try to do too much. This is practical application of the problem-solving framework, that hexagon, toward addressing the grow, create pipeline. The key things that we've done is we've said, hey, we've got perspective. We've removed blind spots. We've identified next logical steps so we can start taking them, and then we start doing it. And if you happen to be one of those people who got one of those messages and just scheduled some time with me, thank you. I appreciate it. If you need help with this kind of stuff, know that this is the stuff that I do inside organizations, and I'm happy to help you out on that side. If you know somebody else who would find value in this, please share it with them. It's amazing what you can do when you bring a group of people together to help be really, really focused on solving a specific problem, whether it's around creating or generating pipeline and getting really creative around that, or improving your fulfillment process inside your organization. Sales is a thinking process. Business is a thinking process. Life is a thinking process. How are you thinking different about your process?